Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Sexism in Witcher. This is clearly what everybody wants to talk about regarding Witcher 4, especially the game's journalists. They're just dying to see a female protagonist turn into a victim. Well, we have an article here from Rock Paper Shotgun that says having Ciri as the Witcher 4 lead will help the game explore the Witcher's world of sexism, says CD Projekt Red. And again, it's just something that the game's journalists have been dying to write about since the beginning of The Witcher.
Too many games, they say, perpetuate a culture of sexism and misogyny. Well, has the gentle sex taken over video games? And are games rife with sexism? That's coming up next on The Factual Feminist.
Now, I want you guys to keep in mind, when it comes to the gaming journalists, they are dying to do this because this is their ideology. They look at games like The Witcher and they see the rampant masculinity that is in those games, and they have an innate problem with it. They cannot stand it. These men that drink soy lattes 24/7, that are basically male feminists who are totally not like everybody else, right? Wink, wink, they slide into the DMs and they promise every female they talk to, I'm not like the chuds, trust me, I'm just a nice guy. Yeah, until they end up putting some drugs in your drink, and then we have a whole nother conversation, but that's besides the point. These particular game journalists cannot wait to talk about sexism in The Witcher because they innately hate what The Witcher represents and what Geralt of Rivia has always represented in terms of masculinity in general. So let's get into this article from Rock Paper Shotgun, but of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. The announcement of The Witcher 4 and The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Ciri as a protagonist has attracted a bit of discussion. Some of the reaction is online toddlers waxing wroth about a video game having a somewhat older woman as a lead character, and especially shock a video game in a series that has a hit hero starred as a man. And some of it is people commenting more thoughtfully on whether Ciri genuinely makes for a suitable Witcher protagonist, given that she isn't the product of the typical Witcher genetic modification regime, which is heavily tailored towards men, and given that, without spoiling too much, she has gifts that make crumbly old Geralt's sword and sorcery skill set look rather paltry. So, okay, the first part here, absolute BS. Obviously, the guy has a certain ideology that he wants to push, as everybody who's angry at this just being toddlers online, okay, sure. You want to be disingenuous about that? Okay, that's fine, because you are clearly the, the arbiter of what it means to be an adult, but that's besides the point. Then at this point, you admit that she is not actually a Witcher, right? Even though Andrzej Sapkowski references her as a Witcher because she has undergone Witcher training and she is one of the Witchers in terms of being raised by them, that is not her actually becoming a true and blue Witcher. And when you say heavily tailored towards men, no, it's only men. In Andrzej's books, it's only men that have survived the Trial of the Grasses. Boys have survived, not girls, boys, and not even adults, boys, right? And there's a reason for that. It's been written in the lore for why that is. So you're trying to sit here and pretend as if, oh, it should totally be understandable that she's a Witcher. No, she's not. You even admit, and this is the biggest argument that I have against people, is the fact that by making Ciri a Witcher, they turn her into a basic bitch character. She's essentially supposed to be the chosen one. She's very special for a very special reason. And she's extremely powerful. And to nerf her and make her into just a basic bitch Witcher just really destroys what she should have been as a character, in my opinion. But okay, let's keep going. Speaking to Eurogamer this week, game director Sebastian Kalemba and narrative director Philip Weber responded to a few of these comments and also shared a little about Ciri's situation at the start of the game. This specific section of the interview in question begins with Weber noting that in the original Witcher books from Andrzej Sapkowski, Ciri is repeatedly described as a Witcher. Okay, described and being referenced as are two different things, right? So they reference Ciri as a Witcher because she partook in Witcher training, because she was essentially being raised by the Witchers. So they are going to consider her to be one of them. But she did not actually go through the Trial of the Grasses. She did not do anything that would actually make her a real Witcher in the books. She is just referenced as one because she is part of their group and did some sword training with them and Witcher training. But she is not actually a full-blooded Witcher through and through by the actual definition of what it means to be a Witcher. So being referenced as a Witcher doesn't actually make you a real Witcher. So again, he tries to say that you're all out of luck if you're arguing against her protagonism on the basis that it disagrees with the source material. No, we're not. No, we're not at all, because you're misrepresenting what the source material actually is stating about Ciri being referenced as a Witcher and being part of the Witchers when she was growing up as a teenage girl. In any case, he and Kalemba acknowledged that, yes, fair enough, Geralt is a good laugh and some people will love to have him back, but Ciri is already playable at points in The Witcher 3, and CD Projekt want to see more of what they could do with her. Nobody would have an issue with Ciri being in the game if she was being showcased as something completely different from a Witcher, right? Like kind of how they did in Witcher 3. When you played as her, you weren't playing as a Witcher. You weren't running around casting little basic bitch Igni spells and drinking potions. You were too busy teleporting around the field and doing some insane fucking skills because you're OP as hell. And it was insane. It was sick to see, and it was fantastic. And I feel like now we're gonna miss out on that because they wanted to turn her into the female Geralt for whatever reason. We don't need female Geralt. The only reason why they're doing that is because, number one, obviously, I mean, come on, ideology. They want to make her into a more masculine figure, so they decide to make her into a real Witcher, something gritty, something dark, and something more masculine like Geralt. And essentially, they want to make a female Geralt because they want people who played the previous Witchers to find any sort of connection to the new game in order to buy the game, right? Because otherwise, it's going to throw them off completely if they've been playing as Geralt for the last 3 games, and now all of a sudden they're playing as someone totally different in the 4th game. It's going to throw people off, no matter what. It doesn't matter. There's some people that have never read the books, and those people will get thrown off after playing one character for 3 games in a row, and 3 very long games in a row. And then it says, I think for all of us at CD Projekt Red, it's also just really exciting to see all the opportunities that Ciri brings us, blah, 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 whatever. Now, let's actually talk about the sexism stuff, because this is where it's going to get absolutely ridiculous, in my opinion. So it says, one of the things that makes Ciri into an interesting new protagonist for us, of course, is that she, at the very beginning of her journey as a Witcher, said Weber. So as an example, Geralt was very, very experienced already. He went through so many things, and you know he created his own code, his value of neutrality, and he created so many experiences, and Ciri still has to make many of those experiences. She has to go through so many of these things. And then it says, I mean, I would say the world of The Witcher is a really dark one that's really inspired by, of course, dark fantasy folklore. Weber commented, when asked about the game's portrayal of gender politics and sexism, but also medieval to early Renaissance history, and that is a world that was tough for many different groups, women among them. As an example, in The Witcher, we also deal with a lot of racism when it comes to non-humans, and this is something that we want to keep up with The Witcher 4. I think it's something that has always been really important. We make games for adults, and it also means that we tackle some difficult topics, he suggested. We tackle them in interesting ways, we tackle them without giving easy answers, and we often open difficult questions that players have to answer. And I think some of these questions might be going in the direction as well, because yeah, Ciri is a woman, and as a Witcher in this world, this is an unusual state. So I don't think it's going to be a story everywhere, but since this is part of the world, we want to tackle so many of those different themes is definitely going to appear there as well. I gotta imagine that the world, the in-game world, is going to be looking at Ciri as a Witcher and going, what the fuck? Right? Like, what's going on? If they look, okay, I'm going to put it like this. If they don't acknowledge the fact that Ciri is a female Witcher in their own world and have the NPCs around them look at her confused as to why or how she's a Witcher, then I think that's going to be very disingenuous, because this is a world that was built around no female Witchers, and now all of a sudden you're having a female run around because she successfully completed the Trial of the Grasses when no other female ever has. And if you don't explain that, that's going to leave the world feeling very disingenuous and very empty. And I'm sure, listen, I'm sure they are going to explain it, but still, it's going to be some bullshit fucking explanation that essentially is going to boil down to she just toughed it out. That's really what it's going to be. She just toughed it out. She had Elder Blood, and the Elder Blood's power got absorbed by her becoming a Witcher or whatever, and that's why she's weaker now. Because I want you to understand something. Ciri is immensely powerful, okay? Immensely powerful. We have an article here from Phantom Pulse that has a very important paragraph I want to read, where it says about her powers being nerfed by CD Projekt Red. They are acknowledging that they are going to drastically reduce her power for this game, which is my biggest fucking problem, because we could have had a very interesting character to play as. We could have had a very interesting Ciri, something that would have been so different from the previous Witchers, but no, you wanted female Geralt, you wanted a female Witcher, so you decided to nerf her and make her into a basic bitch in order to be able to cast Igni. Like, stop this shit. In an interview with Games Radar, Mitrega shared the gap between her being totally overpowered at the end of the previous game, and now, with the skill set we showed off in the trailer, something totally happened in between. She elaborated, we had to delve deep to consider how we would address this. We would have huge respect for the lore, for both the books and for what made it into our previous games, but this was one of the first questions we found the answer for, and it's how we were able to create this original story, which starts with The Witcher 4. So they're nerfing her. They're flat out nerfing her into the fucking ground, and it's really, really unfortunate, and this is my biggest issue. I don't give a fuck if people think she's ugly. I don't give a shit about any of that, bro. We had an opportunity to play a Ciri that was going to be something interesting, something fun, something different from the Witcher lore that we currently have experience in these games. And now all we're going to get is a double sword wielding female Geralt casting Igni. Yeah, I'm a little bit annoyed by that. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.